Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading of Dialectic Spiritualism, a Vedic view on Western philosophy by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're continuing with 13th chapter entitled Sigmund Freud. Disciple. Freud's idea is that the basic instinct in the human personality is the sexual drive, or libido, and that if the expressions of a child's sexuality are inhibited, then his personality becomes disordered. Srila Prabhupada. Everyone has the sex appetite. This tendency is innate. But our brahmacharya system restricts a child's sex life from the earliest stages of his development and diverts his attention to Krishna consciousness. As a result, there is very little chance that he will suffer such personality disorders. In the Vedic age, the leaders of society knew that if a person engaged in unrestricted sex indulgence, then the duration of his materialistic life would increase. He would have to accept the material body birth after birth. Therefore, the Shastras enjoin that one may have sexual intercourse only if married and only for procreation. Otherwise, it is illicit. In our Krishna-conscious society, we prohibit illicit sex, but not legal sex. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.11, Krishna says, Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamasmi bharatarshambha. Quote, I am sexual intercourse that is not against religious principles. Unquote. This means that sex must be regulated. Everyone has a tendency to have sex unrestrictedly, and in Western countries they are actually doing this. But according to the Vedic system, there must be restrictions. And not only must sex be restricted, but meat eating, gambling, and drinking as well. So in our society we have eliminated all these things, and our Western students are becoming pure devotees of Krishna. The people at large, however, must at least restrict these sinful activities, as explained in the Vedic Shastras. Now, a very, very crucial point coming up. The Vedic system of Varnashrama Dharma is so scientific that everything is automatically adjusted. Life becomes very peaceful and happy, and everyone can make progress in Krishna consciousness. If the Vedic system is followed by human society, there will be no more of these mental disturbances. Disciple. Freud says that sexual energy is not only expressed in sexual intercourse, but is associated with a wide variety of pleasurable bodily sensations, such as pleasures of the mouth, like eating and sucking. Srila Prabhupada. That is confirmed in the Shastras. Yanmaidhunadi grihamedi sukham. The only pleasure in this material world is sex. The word adi indicates that the basic principle is maithuna, sexual intercourse. The whole system of materialistic life revolves around this sexual pleasure. But this pleasure is like one drop of water in the desert. the desert requires an ocean of water. If you find one drop of water in a desert, you can certainly say, "Here is some water." But what is its value? Similarly, there is certainly some pleasure in sex life, but what is the value of that pleasure? Compared to the unlimited pleasure of Krishna consciousness, it is like one drop of water in the desert. Everyone is seeking unlimited pleasure, but no one is becoming satisfied. They are having sex in so many ways, and the young girls walking on the street are almost naked. The whole society has become degraded. Every woman and girl is trying to attract a man, but the man take advantage of the situation. There is a saying in Bengal, when milk is available in the marketplace, what is the use of keeping a cow? So men are declining to accept to keep a wife because sex is so cheap. They are deserting their families. Disciple. Freud says that as the child grows up, he begins to learn that by giving up immediate sensual satisfaction, he can gain a greater benefit later on. Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. But even this so-called greater benefit is illusory, because it is still based on the principle of material pleasure. The only way to entirely give up these lower pleasures is to take to Krishna consciousness. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 2.59, Param drishtva nivartate, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. And as Yamunacharya said, quote, "Since I have been engaged in the transcendental, loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought, and my lips curl in distaste." Unquote. That is Krishna consciousness. Our prescription is that in the beginning of life, the child should be taught self-restraint, brahmacharya. And when he is past 20, he can marry. In the beginning, he should learn how to restrain his senses. If a child is taught to become saintly, his semen rises to his brain, and he is able to understand spiritual values. Wasting semen decreases intelligence. So, from the beginning, if he is a brahmachari and does not misuse his semen, then he will become intelligent and strong and fully grown. For want of this education, everyone's brain and bodily growth are being stunted. After the boy has been trained as a brahmachari, if he still wants to enjoy sex, he may get married. And because he has been trained from childhood to renounce materialistic enjoyment, when he is 50 years old, he can retire from household life. At that time, naturally, his firstborn son will be 25 years old, and he can take responsibility for maintaining the household. Household life is simply a license for sex life. That's all. Sex is not required, but one who cannot restrain himself is given a license to get married and have sex. The Vedic system of education is the real program that will save society. By speculating on some shock that may or may not have occurred in childhood, one will never discover the root disease. The root disease. This is so important, because why I'm saying this is important is that I've seen many people who say that you believe in God and I believe in Freud. Like this Freud psychology, like the way he presented the world, like how the world resolves, it really, like he got close but not quite. Like Srila Prabhupada, he agrees with some of his conclusions, but he does not agree how you address the problem. So here, very important how Srila Prabhupada says that, you can speculate, right? He says, by speculating on some shock that may or may not have occurred in childhood, one will never discover the root disease. The sex impulse, continuing, the sex impulse as well as the impulse to become intoxicated and to eat meat is present from the very beginning of life. Therefore, one must restrain himself, otherwise he will be implicated. Disciple. So, the Western system of bringing up children seems artificial, because the parents either repress the child too severely or don't restrict him at all. Srila Prabhupada. That is not good. The Vedic system is to give the child direction for becoming Krishna conscious. There must be some repression, but our use of repression is different. We say the child must rise early in the morning, worship the deity in the temple, and chant Hare Krishna. In the beginning, force may be necessary, otherwise the child will not become habituated. But the idea is to divert his attention to Krishna conscious activities. Then, when he realizes he's not his body, all difficulties will disappear. As one increases his Krishna consciousness, he becomes indifferent to all these material things. So, Krishna consciousness is the prime remedy, the panacea for all diseases. Disciple. Freud divided the personality into 3 departments: the ego, the superego, and the id. Okay. This we'll read tomorrow. The ego and the superego. Yes, so thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com. Yes, this was Shravanam Diaries podcast, and I was your host, Sulalita Devdasi. We shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.